Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Oh, hang on a minute. My live stream seems to be doing something really weird. Okay. All right. So I'm going to have to go with here. Let me just go live on Instagram. Okay. So good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are joining me from on the planet. My name is June Allen, and I am the founder of the Art of Greatness at juneallen.net. So lovely, lovely, lovely to see with you, to spend time with you today. So today's topic is all about how being an angry black woman can heal. Okay, how being an angry black woman can heal. But before I get into that, I'm going to give you, hi Marie, thanks for joining. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about what I do. So I'm a mum, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a therapist, I'm a racial wellness coach, and I teach black women, I empower black women who struggle with sisterhood, self-love, and sobriety. So I came into doing this work about, let me see, 2009. I started doing my own personal journey, and I went into recovery, 12-step recovery for addictive relationships off the back of a really painful experience. And I needed to find out why I kept choosing relationships that were not good for me, that were difficult, that were painful, that were addictive, that were abusive. I needed to find, that's not to victim blame myself, but I needed to find out what was going on for me, what was the solution to all of this stuff that was going on. So I went into 12-step recovery, had an amazing time, but what was missing was the cultural context. Okay, and what I mean by that is I didn't understand how being a black woman played a role in my healing process. I didn't understand. I wasn't hearing anything or hearing anybody that was really having conversations about what that meant. So I then became obsessed with reading loads of books, reading loads of articles, listening to different things. And I needed to find out, how that became part of my process. Hi Nigel, thanks for joining. And so it was just very, it was an amazing experience. The light bulb just basically started going off because I just thought, wow, now this is really beginning to make sense to me, just understanding the cultural context. And as I began to learn and grow and heal through my own process and having therapy and all of that, I started sharing my own journey with people, and people started coming to me more for support, for advice, for feedback about what they were going through. And I noticed that as I was sharing my stuff, a lot of people were starting to get results as well from what they would, from what I was teaching them. So that's how the Art of Greatness was born. And then I decided that back in 2014, I decided that I wanted to train to become a therapist. I thought, you know what, people are asking me this stuff anyway. Why not get some professional training so that I can get my, certificate, and I can, practice, do it properly, do it professionally. And I've absolutely loved the process. I've got one more year left to go, and I'm just feeling really, really proud and blessed that I've been in this position where I'm able to empower people to be able to do this work. So I'm feeling really grateful about that. So yeah, so that's a little bit about me, if you didn't know anything about my story. So yeah, so today's topic is all about how being an angry black woman can heal. Okay, how being an angry black woman can heal. So this is taken off the back of this book. Okay, so I run a mastermind for black women, and part of the mastermind is running a book club. Okay, so we're currently reading What Mama Couldn't Tell Us About Love. We meet on a Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Okay. It's a weekly group, apart from the last week of the month. So, and we meet every week to discuss one chapter per week, and we dive deep. We go into it and we share and all the rest of it. So look, so Nigel, you ran across my mind 10 minutes ago. And look, listen, we need to do another live stream, Nigel, man. Seriously, you need to inbox me. We need to do another live stream. But yeah. Anyway, I'll inbox you. But maybe we do something over Black History Month or whatever. So that'd be fun if we do something. But yeah, so if you're interested in joining the book club, okay, go to heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. Okay, so if you want any other information about how you can work with me, you can find all of that information over there as well. If your kids have gone back to school and you're looking for some wellness tips and stuff like that to reset your wellness process and whatever, now that we're in September, my daughter just went back to school on Monday. There's a training as well that I've got in there called a 5-day reset experience, okay, which you can do to kind of reset all your wellness stuff. So loads of information there. Go click the link in the bio, go to heal.junieallen.net if you want some more information about that. So now let's get into the topic, okay? Let's get into the topic. So 3 ways. I'm going to share with you 3 ways today how being an angry black woman can help to heal. Okay, so first and foremost, what I will say is, normally the whole thing around being an angry black woman is kind of like it's always seen as a negative thing, or we're trying to avoid being labeled the angry black woman. Okay, because a lot of us recognize that, or our relationship with anger has always been from the position of abuse. Okay, hi Jack, thanks for joining. It's always been from the position of abuse. Okay, so we don't really know anything about what it means to be an angry black woman other than being abused or being abusive to somebody else. Okay, so we don't want to be associated with that whole concept of being an angry black woman. Okay, so what happens sometimes when we do that, either we externalize it, okay, yeah, I'm an angry black woman, so what? Or we internalize it and go into shame and go, oh my God, I don't want to be an angry black woman. Let me just assimilate. Let me be the nice black woman. Let me not upset these white people. Let me not upset, all of these folks that might say things about me being an angry black woman. So I'm going to internalize it and go into shame about being an angry black woman, because I don't want to I don't want to deal with the anger itself. I just want to hide the fact that I'm being an angry black woman. But the important thing about healing, okay, when it comes to that label, any type of anger, is you need to build a relationship with it. Many of us find it difficult to deal with the whole thing around being an angry black woman, because we're focusing on the fact that we're being called an angry black woman and not actually dealing with why you're an angry black woman. Okay, so I'm a proud angry black woman. I'm a proud angry black woman, and the reason why I'm a proud angry black woman is because I have a relationship with my anger. Okay, I have a healthy relationship with my anger. Anger's only a bad thing if you don't have a relationship with it, because when you don't have a good relationship with anger, it's going to show up and show up and it can be destructive in your relationships because you don't understand it. So you're just reacting from a place of anger, as opposed to understanding what the anger there is there to teach you. Okay, and that is what I'm going to share with you today. So the first thing for me to share with you about how being an angry black woman can heal is that it basically protects your values and your boundaries. Okay, anger is your first primal boundary. Okay, it's your first primal boundary. Right? And what I mean by that is your anger is going to tell you that person is abusive. That person's not safe. Don't tell your business to this or that person. Sometimes when we get angry, we forget that our anger is telling us messages. Okay? Our anger is there to tell us messages about what feels safe. And I think what's happened is, over the years of living under a system that is abusive, we've been taught that we're not allowed to feel anything. Okay, how dare you be angry? How dare you be angry at your oppression? Okay, we've been taught to stuff it down. And if we think about it historically in terms of our ancestors, and I was talking about this to the ladies in my group on Sunday. We did an amazing class with Sonia Ross. She's a fabulous therapist in the States, and we talked about having more autonomy with our black bodies and stuff like that. And, we were talking about the thing that, my ancestors in Jamaica, okay, if they displayed any sort of anger or any sort of emotion that was deemed as negative, they could be killed for it. Okay, our ancestors could have been killed for showing any type of anger. So my ancestors in Jamaica were in chattel slavery for 240 years. So if you think about 240 years of not expressing emotion or holding it down, okay, that stuff doesn't just vanish just because they left the plantations, because none of them went to therapy, none of them went and had any trauma work or done any trauma work or anything like that. So that stuff kind of stays in the psyche and it gets passed down. Okay, it gets passed down. So we think that now we don't want to express any of our anger. We don't want to we don't know how to own our anger. We don't want to listen to what our anger is trying to say to us, because the pattern that's been passed down is, don't express it because you're going to be you could be killed for it, and might not be a conscious thing. You're going to be killed for it. You're going to be harmed for it. Or even in the workplace, actually, that's still true in the workplace. But it's not as extreme as you're going to be killed for it. But it could be, oh well, you lose your job if you express anger. You could lose your job. Whereas if a white male expresses anger or a white woman expresses anger, they're being expressive, they're being assertive. There's all of that kind of stuff. But if a black woman does it, she's an uppity Negro and she's stepping out of her place. So it's about understanding first and foremost that your anger is there to protect you. And sometimes when our anger as black people feels extreme, or it feels explosive, or it feels intense, it's because we've probably got a history of things that we haven't dealt with, okay, that are being backed up. That it's like a pressure cooker now. That's where the angry black woman thing comes from. Because we've been taught for so long not to express it, that now we've got a pressure cooker of stuff hundreds of years old that we've not been allowed to express. Okay, and so that anger is kind of in us now, and we don't, and especially if you don't have a therapist, you don't have a safe space to be able to process it, especially if you were raised in an environment at home, that was abusive, or you got beaten and all that kind of stuff. That, and again, is more stuff, is more pressure, okay, that we've not been able to express. Okay, so next time you feel angry, instead of going straight to, oh my God, I don't want to feel this anger, I don't want people to label me the angry black woman, take a moment, take a pause and think, okay, well, what is this anger about? What is this anger about? It might be something that happened today, okay? And this is the difference between anger and rage, okay? This is important. The difference between anger and rage is two things. Anger is often something that's happened in the moment. There's an event that's happened in the moment that you're upset about, so you're angry about it. When we're feeling rage, okay, it could be a collection of things that have happened over a long period of time. And then what's happened now is that you're feeling all of this intense emotion, this intense rage, because you've not had anywhere to express it. Okay, you've not had anywhere to express it. And the reason why so many black women are so angry is because we've had to deal with the intersection of sex, race, gender. All of these things are all kind of enmeshed together, and we've not always had safe spaces or permission to be able to express that stuff. And just because we don't express it doesn't mean we stop feeling angry. It just gets channeled into other things. Something else that I talked about in the mastermind last week was that, sometimes anger can get expressed in different ways, in the sense that you might use food to stuff down your anger. You might do it through shopping. You might do it through having a drink. You might do it through relationships. You channel all your stuff through your relationships. You might take it all out on your children. This is one of the reasons why I believe that so many of us as black children are, we understand what it means to be hit by our parents, because our parents they couldn't basically face the people who were creating that were abusive to them, to express their anger appropriately out on the other person, to channel it properly. So what they do is they take it out on somebody who's more vulnerable than them. So they take it out on their children, or they might take it out on their partner. Okay, but so you've got to understand anger in a different way. You have to build your relationship with anger in a different way. Anger is not your enemy. The anger that you feel is not your enemy. Your anger is your friend. Your anger is there to teach you that something's not right. It's asking you to pay attention. Pay attention to the people, places, and things that are around you. And remember, we're living under the system of racism still. We're still living under the system of racism, okay? And it doesn't just, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And that is going to have an impact on how you feel about yourself. It's going to have an impact on how you parent. It's going to have an impact on how you show up at work. Okay? So next time you're starting to feel angry, also remember there's a spectrum. There's a spectrum of anger, okay? On one end, there's rage, and on the other end is, mild irritation. And the role in therapy, the role in therapeutic work, the healing work, is actually, number one, finding a safe space to be able to to be able to unpack your anger in a safe way, and to learn tools about how to manage it. Learn tools about how to manage it. Understanding that, anger is not something that you're not going to be shamed for it. This is something that I talk about a lot in the mastermind. There's no shame in the mastermind about talking about your rage. Okay? We don't rage at each other. We understand and unpack the rage. Okay? We understand and unpack the rage. I encourage my clients all the time. If you want to, sometimes I'll say to them, say to me what you would like to say to that person that pissed you off, that upset you, that person that abused you. Say to me what you would like to say to them. Cuss if you need to cuss. Yes, cuss if you need to cuss. Because that stuff gets trapped in our psyche. And it's not healthy. And that's the reason why so many of us are unwell. That's the reason why so many of us are depressed. Okay, I always say that depression is anger without the fire. Okay, depression is anger without the fire. It's the constant oppression of not being able to feel your feelings, of not being able to understand your feelings, of not being able to process them properly in a healthy way. And because of that association we have with anger and abuse, we think, oh no, I don't want to be angry. So we don't express it. We don't express it. Okay, so this is important. This is important to understand, first and foremost, that your anger is your primary boundary. It's your protection. Your anger is your ally. Your anger is your ally, telling you that you need to pay attention to what's going on around you. You need to pay attention to the people that's around you, because something is not right. That's what it is. Don't ignore it. Do not ignore it. Okay, so that's the first one. The first reason that being an angry black woman or being an angry black person, okay, can help you heal, because it's going to first and foremost tell you about who's safe. Okay, number two, okay, it helps us to solve problems. It motivates us to solve problems. If you get angry enough about something, you're going to change it. Even me becoming a therapist, okay, and doing this work and coming on here once a week, this is a form of anger. Okay, this is my way. This is justified anger. This is how I'm processing my anger, because I ain't gonna let white supremacy continue to do this to my people. And I wanted to do it in a way that was constructive. This is constructive anger. All right, this is constructive anger. I'm channeling my anger into empowering my community. I'm channeling my anger into empowering the community. Okay, in training to become a therapist, I allow my clients to come into my space, to come into the mastermind, and to express their anger. I teach them about anger. I teach them about black rage, their black feminine rage, and give them permission to unpack it. Okay, that's how I'm channeling my anger. I'm channeling my anger by refusing to accept the status quo. When I go into my therapy, my therapy class, and I listen to all the lectures and do all the rest of it, I can learn as much as I can from all of that stuff. But when I finish learning all of that stuff, the first thing I do is I come out of it and I think, okay, how can I translate this information in order to empower the community? I'm not interested in trying to change how white people think. That's not my business. I'm not interested in changing how white people think, because at the end of the day, if they don't want to change their behavior, if they don't want to change, practicing racism, I can't force people to change. But what I can do is change how I respond to it and teach other black people how they respond to it. Teach them, to empower them to think about the impact of racism. Okay, whether it's to do with self or whether it's to do with the family, or whether it's to do with socially as a system. I can teach my community how to do those things. Because I think sometimes the anger for a lot of us is trying to change other people, trying to change white people, trying to beg white people to change. Stop doing this, stop. And they're not interested. Okay, the real talk, the real harsh truth about all of this stuff is that most white people, okay, and I would say the majority of white people, are not interested in doing this work. They don't want to do the racial work because they benefit from it. They benefit from white supremacy. What you're essentially doing when you beg white people to do stuff is you're asking them to stop reaping the benefits that are maybe helping them to make more money, helping them to get on in life, and also their children. You're asking them to give up their legacy, and they ain't gonna do it willingly. I'm sorry if this is pissing people off or whatever. This is the harsh reality. Most white people do not want to do this work. That's real talk. They don't want to do it. Nigel, it's facts. They don't want to do this work. They're not interested in doing the work because it means they have to give up the legacy of their children, and they ain't going to do it. The real place of empowerment is what you do for yourself and what you do to empower your family and what you do to empower your community. That's where you channel your anger. Use your anger to solve problems. Don't use anger to stay in the victim part of the victimhood. We are being victimized under the system. Yes, we're being victimized, but that doesn't mean that we have to stay in the victimhood, in the victim mindset. Because I'm a victim of white supremacy, but I'm not a victim. Do you understand the difference? I'm a victim of white supremacy, yes, or white terrorism. I hate to call it white supremacy because there's nothing supreme about that behavior. I'm a victim of white terrorism, okay, but I'm not a victim to it. I'm not a victim of it. I refuse to be reduced by it. I will use and do whatever I need to do as part of this work in order to empower those that want to do the work. Because I'm not begging black people to do this work either. I'm not here to convince anybody about what I'm doing. If people want it, they will find me. If people want to do the work, they will sign up and join my mastermind or go and see a therapist or whatever they want to do. If people want to do this work, they will do the work. Okay? It's time to stop shaming other black people as well that are not ready to do this work. Stop shaming them. Stop calling them coons. It don't work. Okay, it don't work. You are not going to empower somebody to do this work by shaming them. Focus on what you're doing. Focus on what you need to do. Focus on your work. Focus on empowering your children. Focus on empowering the members of your family that will listen. Not all family members will listen. Not all family members will listen. You know, I'm the only person in my family that's doing the work at this depth, doing the therapeutic work, doing the recovery work. It's not my job or responsibility to save anyone, including my family. It's not my responsibility, and I can't do it even if I wanted to. Because you've got to be able to do this work with people that have the listening. So stop wasting energy on people that don't have the listening for it, that don't want to change. If you're in a situation where you feel isolated or family members don't want to listen or they're doing whatever they're doing, find a community. Find a community that will hear you. This is one of the reasons why I basically set up the mastermind and I do what I do. This is one of the reasons why I do what I do, because the people that I work with, the women that I work with, they wanted a community. Okay, they wanted a community, a sisterhood where they felt seen, where they felt heard, where they weren't going to be shamed for having emotions, where they weren't going to be shamed for having an opinion. Okay, where there's compassion and understanding and respect. All of those things that they didn't get in their families. All of these things they didn't get in their families. They wanted a community that was going to respect them for who they are. And to have people witness their pain, to witness it and help them process it. I can't tell you how many sessions I've had where there's been tears. There's been tears from women that are just so. This for the first time in their lives, a lot of them have found a place where they can just lay out their brokenness on the table. And have the other sisters in the group hold space for them without judgment. Have the sisters hold space for them without judgment. And that's how the healing begins. The shame starts to get destroyed, because we start to witness each other's space. We witness each other's pain. That's how you solve problems. That's how we solve our problems as a community, not by begging white people, not by, begging other black people to change, or you do it by getting together and having respect, and you do the therapeutic work. You roll up your sleeves and you do the therapeutic work. It's just not easy. It's not all flowers and roses. It's not. The injustices that happen to our community have to start with the injustices that we inflict on ourselves, first and foremost. Then we have to work around the injustices that have gone on within our family. Stop looking outside at what the white man is doing. We know white supremacy is evil. We know white terrorism is terrorizing the community and has done for hundreds of years. We know that. But before we can even deal with what's happening outside in our society, we have to deal with the terrorism that's happening in our families. We have to deal with the terrorism that we inflict on ourselves. Okay, because a lot of us are harming ourselves in ways that we don't even realize, or sometimes we do know and we still keep doing it. Don't use what's going on externally in society stop you from doing your own work. Don't use that as a crutch. Okay, don't use that as a crutch to not do your own work. You can do your own work if you want to. You need to just find a community. If you're interested in joining the book club or working with me one-on-one or joining the mastermind, click the link in the bio, go to heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. Okay? So the third and final way that being an angry black woman can help us heal is by recognizing that anger is going to be something that's going to help us discharge the energy that's in our bodies. Okay? Anger is energy. All of our emotions are different types of energy, but anger is an energy that something needs to shift. And when we don't express our anger in a way that's healthy, okay, it can cause physical illness. It can cause mental illness, and it will cause physical illness. I always know when I'm not because I have to. For me, I know that I have to do the physical discharge as well as the verbal discharge. So I see my therapist, I talk to my therapist, okay? But I also have to go to the gym. Because when I start thinking about things, and if I'm getting angry and anxious about all these things, it makes my body tense. Okay, it makes my body tense. So when I start feeling angry about stuff, it also gets me to check into my body. Okay, where am I feeling the anger? Is it in my shoulders? Am I tensing up all my shoulders? Am I grinding my teeth at night because I'm so vexed about something that happened, or because somebody in my family's upset me and is not apologizing for what's going on or whatever? How does the anger show up in your body? Do you get headaches? Do you get migraines? And a lot of people that got a lot of unexpressed rage that got migraines. Do you get headaches? It's about building a relationship with anger, building a relationship with your anger. Okay, when you build a relationship with your anger, your experience of it, the way that you manage it, is going to be very, very different. Okay, another really good way that I discharge anger, or if I've got emotional pain and stuff going on, is to just, when my daughter's gone to school or whatever, I'll go in the bedroom and I'll just beat the bed, punch the bed, cuss if I need to cuss, and do whatever. And I'll set a timer and maybe do that for a minute. Minutes, it seems like a not very short time when I'm saying it in here, but when you're actually doing it, when you're actually beating the bed or doing whatever you're doing, it seems like a long time. And then what normally happens after I've done that is quite often I'll burst into tears. I'll cry, because what's happened is I've released the energy, the pent up emotion, the initial charge that's happened. Okay. And then underneath the anger is quite often sadness or grief, because anger is a secondary emotion. It's a secondary emotion. So there's always something underneath the anger. All right, there's always something underneath the anger. So when you discharge it, then it's time for you to reflect on, okay, well, what's underneath it? And I always say that underneath the anger, there's one of three emotion. Okay, underneath the anger is either fear, shame, or sadness. Okay, fear, shame, or sadness is often underneath anger. Hurt is underneath it. So next time somebody says to you about being an angry black woman or whatever, I want you to remember this live stream. I want you to remember this live stream, because this live stream, or what I've given you today, is giving you a completely different perspective on what it means to be an angry black woman and to be proud of being an angry black woman. Okay, as long as you're expressing your anger in a healthy way. Now, if you're a person that's explosive, that is being abusive, that is that is using it in a really destructive way, then I would encourage you to seek support. Seek support. Okay, it doesn't mean that I'm not saying that to shame you or anything like that, but it just means that you've got a lot of your own hurt that it's not been heard. That's the reason why so many of us act out in that way, because we've got a lot of stuff there that has been unheard, unsaid, unprocessed. And what you need is compassion, so that you can unpack it, so that you can understand it. You can understand the link between racism and your family upbringing, your family environment, and what's going on for you in the moment, your relationship with yourself. Anger is linked to unmet needs. You've got so many unmet needs and unprocessed stuff, especially when we're talking about more the other end of the spectrum, about rage. It's all about unmet needs. You've got needs that are unmet. So being an angry black woman means that you've got unmet needs. Remember that. Next time if you start feeling a lot of rage and anger and ask yourself the question, what need of mine is not being met? What need of mine is not being met? How am I not being seen? Who's crossing my boundary? These are the things that you need to be asking yourself in order to build a relationship with yourself. Okay, to build a relationship with your anger. It's so important for you to be able to do that. Okay, so that's it. That's it for today's session. So I'll just quickly go over the 3 ways how being an angry black woman can help you heal. Okay, number 1, anger is your primary boundary. Okay, so it's going to protect your boundaries and your values. That's how it can help you heal. It can help you make different decisions. Okay, when you understand what your boundaries are and what your values are. So when you feel angry, you know that somebody's either crossed the boundary or there's doing something which is out of alignment with your values. Okay, so pay attention to that. The second thing is it motivates us to solve problems. Channel your anger to empowering your community, to empowering yourself, to empowering your family, your children. For those that will listen, okay, use your anger to create change. And the third thing is use your anger to build a relationship with your body, with your relationship with yourself, so that you understand that when you feel anger, you can check in with your body and find out, okay, where in my body am I feeling this? Where do I need to discharge? Where do I need to discharge and release the anger that's in my body? Okay, those are the 3 things. Thank you so much for joining me today. If any of you are interested in joining me for the book club that we're reading at the moment, What Mama Couldn't Tell Us About Love, we meet on a Thursday evening at 8 p.m. London time. So yeah, click the link in the bio, go to heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. If you know any angry black women out there that need to hear this broadcast, please share it with them. Please share it with them. You're so welcome, Nigel, saying amazing. Thank you, June. Listen, we need to link. Seriously, we need to do another live stream for Black History Month, and it might be quite good for maybe to have a conversation about men or whatever, and anger or whatever. But let's do something. It'll be really good, because the last one we did was really great, and it'll be good to do something else as well. I've got a few, as you were kind of mentioning that, there's a few things going on in my head that I could do with the Pan-African thought, so that'd be really good. You're welcome, Marie. Thanks everyone for joining, and I will see you next time. If you've got any issues or any questions that you have about today's live stream that you don't want to drop it in the comments below, send me an inbox, send me a direct message, or email me info@yardofgreatness.com. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone, and I will see you next time. All right, have an amazing day. Take care. Bye bye.